Welcome to episode 25 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Twitter and Instagram. I blog over at the Corner of Knit and Tea, which is where all the show notes for all the episodes will be. I have an Etsy shop called the Stash Buckler Adventures in Yarn, where I sell my hand-spun yarn. And finally, we have a Ravelry group. Please come over and join us if you haven't already. The group is called the Corner of Knit and Tea. Hello, welcome back. It is Sunday, February 1st. We have started a new month. I apologize a little bit for the light. It's quite gloomy outside. We had rain yesterday, and today we've had some snow. Nothing's really sticking, but it's been real cold and windy, and kind of overcast. So it's been a great weekend to stay home and knit, which is pretty much what I've done. I managed to touch 3 projects yesterday. I spun and finished up a skein of yarn on Friday, and I'm going to start another one today. And then today is full of all the usual chores, laundry, grocery shopping. I'm going to go to a yoga class later. We are not, well, for those of you in the US, you know that this is Super Bowl Sunday. Big football game played, and we are not football people at all. So I'm going to go take a yoga class, and then we'll have a quiet dinner and just enjoy being inside where it's warm. And the weather is supposed to do a little bit of a seesaw this week. It'll be cold for a couple days, then it'll be warm for a day or so, then it'll be cold again. So you just never know what you're going to get in Kansas. So I hope that you have had a wonderful week, and I will get started with the podcast. Today's tea is one that you have seen before, but it just sounded delicious on a cold day like today. It is Santa's Cookie from Tea Time Scottsdale, which was a lovely gift from Liz, who is the travel correspondent over on Come Knit With Us. It is a black tea blended to taste like a snickerdoodle, and it does, when I brew it, it makes the whole house smell good. Last time I brewed a cup, I came in here, I did my podcast, I went back out to the living room to edit, and my husband kept asking me what smelled so good, and eventually I had him taste it, and he really liked it. So it is a good one. It makes your house smell like you're baking snickerdoodles. So, and I am drinking that in my pottery mug that we got on a West Virginia, well, technically we were going to Virginia, but it was through West Virginia, and the name is escaping me right now, but I will put it in the show notes. It is a local pottery by a West Virginian artisan, and I just loved it, and I wanted a big mug to put my hands around, and I'm a little clumsy, so I was hoping the full base would help a little bit, just in case I were to knock a cup of tea over. And again, I'm enjoying the Santa's Cookie, which is snickerdoodles, and it is delicious. That is delicious. I'm going to enjoy that cup. So moving on to what I'm wearing, my favorite part of the week is that I got a new piece of jewelry. This is one of the stitch marker necklaces from Kathy Canuel's shop on Etsy, and I will link you to it. And I got this beautiful set of stitch markers. It's got a little bit of turquoise and a little bit of hematite and a lotus, and it's just gorgeous. I've received compliments on it all week, and I really enjoy wearing it. It's just super simple and fun, and you definitely should go to her shop and check things out. That is my favorite new acquisition of the week. I am also wearing a shawl out of some of my early hand spun. I won't say it's my first, but it was an early set, and it was planned. It's 4 different colorways, and they were dyed by Funky Carolina, who sadly is no longer dyeing. She's no longer in business. And I don't remember exactly what the different colorways are. I know the bottom one, they're all Harry Potter themed. I know the bottom one was Defense Against the Dark Arts. I know the purple was Minerva. The yellow might have either been Herbology or Potions, and I can't remember what the blue one was, but they were all Harry Potter colorways, and the pattern is Far Away, So Close by Karina Spencer. It is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, and it involves all kinds of different stitches, and so you can make it in one color or multiple colors, and it's just a fun knit. And because this is some of my first hand spun, it was definitely worsted weight. So this shawl is super, super cozy and warm, and I enjoy it on days like today, where I just want to be cozy and warm. So that is what I'm wearing, which means we can move on to what I've been working on. I have no new works in progress. I also have no finished objects. As I told you last week, things are going to be a little boring for a bit because I am working on some bigger projects. First this week, I am working on a hand-spun Quaker yarn stretcher shawl. That's a pattern by Susan Ashcroft, and I am doing it in my own hand-spun. It's some hand spun that I showed you a few weeks ago on the show. It was my last spin of 2014, and it was a combination of two fibers. It was Spunky Eclectic and Southern Cross fiber. And as you might notice, the ball is a little bit smaller. I weighed it, and I've knit approximately 2/3 of the yarn into the shawl. So I've made good progress on this. My deadline for this is February 15th. This is for, I'm knitting it as part of the Harry Potter House Cup, but also because I really, really wanted the shawl. So the yarn has done exactly what I wanted it to do, which is stripe nicely. And I don't remember exactly, I didn't mark where I was when I showed you. Again, this is a pattern that makes the most of hand spun. It was written for worsted weight, but I have adapted it for more of a fingering weight. You start at a point and you continue to knit, and there are some various portions of stockinette and garter, and I'm not going to give away more than that because it is a paid for pattern on Ravelry, and I have gotten pretty far in it, and the rows are much longer now, but it is still striping beautifully. And like I said, I have about 1/3 of the ball left, so I don't know what that will translate to in inches, but this will definitely be a good size shawl when I block it, and I do like my shawls big. So that is my progress on the Quaker yarn stretcher shawl. I don't know if I will have it done by next week. I might. It just depends how much knitting time I have this week. And I had some extra last week because I had a dentist appointment and I had a few other things, so I had lots of extra knit time. I don't know how that will be this week, but we will see. We will definitely see. So that is the first project. The second project that I picked up again that I hadn't shown you in a while is the Aleena Shawl by Lanka Comero. The top part is stockinette and some eyelet ridges, and then it's got a very nice lacy border. And I had stopped showing it to you because I wasn't making a ton of progress on it, and because the top part is, I was making it fairly large and I didn't think there was a lot of difference between when I showed it to you on the podcasts. But I did pick that back up a little bit this weekend, and I decided to finish the top part and start the lace edging. You won't be able to see any of that because I'm only 4 rows into the lace edging, but I did think I would bring it back out because this is another one that I'm hoping to finish up in February. And this is, I'm knitting this out of Malabrigo lace weight yarn in the colorway Teal Feather. And the colors are probably going to be off, but I'm just showing you how big it is now. It is another big shawl, which is exactly what I wanted for it. And so, like I said, it's a nice, it's just kind of a plain pattern with eyelet rows, and then there'll be a nice lacy border, which, as I said, I am just starting to work on, so there's really not much to see there, but I hope I will have more to show you next week, and this will be a huge triangular shawl, and I am really, really, really looking forward to that. So that is a goal, to get that finished in February, and I think you'll probably see this for another podcast or two, and then hopefully I will be done and it will be a finished object. It's interesting. I'm working on so many bigger projects right now that I have nothing for instant gratification, and I will say that that is kind of making me twitchy to cast things on, and I do have a hat pattern that I'm still dying to do. I've wanted to do it kind of since January, and I think that is something else I will try and crank out in February after the hand spun yarn shawl is done and I'm working on this. So that brings me to the third, which I'm sure you all know what I'm going to talk about now. It is the Leftovers Cowl by Wendy Johnson. It is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, and it is suggested that you can knit it to use up all your leftovers of your sock yarn, which is why it's called the Leftovers Cowl. And I have indeed added another chart this week. I am in my 5th week, and I just completed the 5th chart last night. I believe when I left off, I probably left off with the purple and yellow right down here. So I did the gray with the green triangles, and this time I believe I did not make a mistake in that pattern. And then I have blue, kind of a periwinkle blue, and some yellow for the zigzags, and then white and a black for the triangles again, pink and teal for the next pattern. This one kind of reminds me of Charlie Brown, is t-shirt. This is yellow and a little bit of green. And then I did black and a mint green. And then up here, this is teal and a purple. And so as I reminded you, the pattern gives you a bunch of charts to knit over and over. And what I have done is I have inserted some sections where I picked the charts out, and I am actually to another one of those. So the first thing I put in was, I don't know whether these are rosebuds or tulips or exactly what, but I put in these flowers late last night. And this is the first section of my 6th chart, as it were. And that means that next week I should be halfway done. And or halfway done per the pattern. I am going to measure and see how much I have, because again, this is going to be a huge cowl. I will graft the ends together, which is why this is on waste yarn with a provisional cast on. And I need to double check and see how long it is supposed to be, so that I can figure out if my row gauge is off, and if I need to perhaps knit a little bit less. I certainly hope I don't need to knit more, and I will not knit more, but it should be able to go around the neck twice, so I'm thinking that is probably about right. So I will work on the 6th repeat this week, and hopefully we'll be halfway done when I see you next. And actually, I really like the purple and gray. I wasn't sure it was going to show up nicely, but it does. So that's pretty much this week's progress on the Leftovers Cowl. This has turned into a really fun project. It is a ton of color work, but at the same time, it's small instances of color work, and I'm changing colors and patterns fairly frequently. So I'm finding that I'm not getting bored with it at all, because I'm constantly trying to come up with new combinations. So, and then the other thing that I notice is every so often I have a new favorite motif. In the beginning, I loved the purple and the yellow, and then I really loved this two-tonal blue here, and then the argyle, and then another two-tonal blue. And now I'm really digging the black and mint section. So, I mean, it's just kind of interesting to see which sections become my favorite through the weeks. So that is my progress on that for the week, which means I am done with show and tell for knitting. Spinning wise, I did have a good week. I finished up another skein. Last week I showed you some fiber from Hello Yarn. It was the Club Colorway selection for November, I believe. It was bracken and gorse on a targi fiber, which is super soft and super puffy. And I finished that, and it is one big puffy skein. I expect it's got some sections of sport and probably some of DK. I have not finished weighing or counting the yardage, but as you can see, it is big and poofy, and it is beautiful. It has got all kinds of different shades of brown. It's got some kind of dark chocolate espresso. It's got some tans. It's got some orange or caramel color. It had some yellows, and then it's reading a little bit gray, but it's almost an icy gray blue that has just a little bit throughout. I spun this as a 2-ply yarn, and my assumption is that I probably got close to 300 yards. It might be a little bit under, it might be 280-ish. As soon as we finish here, I am going to take some photos and weigh and measure, and this will be going up in the shop this evening. So if you are interested, it is not spoken for. That is Hello Yarn, Targhee, Bracken, and Gorse. So that brings me to what I will spin this week. I selected another fiber from my stash. I bought this not long ago from Fondant Fibers. She is in the UK, and I fell in love with both the braid and the name. The braid itself is pink with purples and orange and some red, and it is a superwash merino nylon, which means it took the color really vibrantly. And if you can see, the colorway is called Not Today, Satan. And it was inspired by one of the episodes of Come Knit With Us, Kim and Sam. And when I saw the braid in the shop, I rushed over and I saw it, and I sent the link to Kim and said, "You have to buy this." And she said, "Well, you know, I've had some car repairs and I've had some other things and I can't." And I said to her, "Well, if you're not going to buy it, I am." So I did, and it shipped to me. And next week on the podcast, Kim showed where Fondant Fiber, I think her name is Deb, but I'm not entirely sure, where Fondant Fiber had sent her this braid as a gift. So we actually both have them, but I'm going to spin by now. I just thought it would be a fun braid to spin. I suspect this will also go in the shop, so if these are your colors, keep an eye out. I guess that means that this one is a little bit of a shorter podcast, but that is most of what I have to talk to you about. I will just remind you one more time, we have 2 more weeks in the Selfish Knit Along, which also can be spin along, weave along, crochet along, or other craft along. That is running in my group, The Corner of Knit and Tea on Ravelry. The rules are anything that you make for yourself between January 1st and February 15th. All you need to do is craft it, take a photo, and post it. We have some prizes, and I will show you the prizes next week. We have $15 in patterns from a lovely Raveler. I have a skein of Woolmize yarn from another lovely Raveler, and I have not picked out my prize yet, but I will pick it out so that I can show it to you next weekend on the podcast. So I think that's all. I hope you're enjoying your weeks and everything crafty. If you have any questions for me or any comments, please definitely leave them below. I am always happy to see what you guys are thinking, and I am happy to address other things since my last couple of weeks have been super short. If you have questions, I am more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I say to you, as I always do, I hope you have a wonderful week. Happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time.